Hello Gemini, welcome to my channel, Sarah Angel Tarot. This is your reading. It is the full Celtic cross and I'm looking for positive energies for Gemini, sun, moon, and rising. New energies coming in for Gemini. And I'm hoping for positive readings, asking for positive readings for Gemini. As you know, this may not resonate with all Geminis, but, you know, I try to get the majority, or try to reach as many as possible of you. Incoming energy, the Fool. You're not jumping into a new beginning with something, or you're having second thoughts about it. You're thinking, should I do this or not? You're going to weigh all your options and see if it's a safe thing to do with the Fool card in reverse. Subject at hand, the Moon. The Moon can be about deceptions, intuition, things hidden sometimes. I'm trying to get this to where you can see it. What's crossing it is the Knight of Pentacles. Could be that you're expecting something from a possible earth sign, Capricorn, Taurus, or Virgo. You may feel like something is amiss with this person or energy in some way. What crowns you or your goal? It could be that you were going to travel and go somewhere and decided against it. You could be having trouble with communications with somebody. But it's what's crowning you is, I don't think it's your goal. I think it's what's crowning you, where you're having trouble with communications. Things are kind of a muck, you know? And it could have, like I said, with the Knight of Pentacles, with the earth energy, or someone taking on that energy where something's real slow and not moving right, and something's hidden and communications are off in some way. Foundation, you feel like there's no growth coming in a situation. You feel like blessings aren't coming in. You think something more or less may have come to a dead halt. In the past, you were wanting wish fulfillment, and maybe you even got it a little bit, and then something went kind of weird, you know, kind of went amok. I gotta move these over so I have enough room for everything. In the very near future, you got the High Priestess. Things are still up in the air. You're trying to tune in intuition. You're trying to figure out what happened, and you're listening to your gut instinct for once, where before you might not have been because the Moon was hidden. Then maybe you try to figure it out in some way. Possible future outcome and advice from the universe. It says maybe to come out of hermit mode, or to think more intensely of what is going on. Really tap into your inner self to figure out what happened, because something went amok, and it has to do with communications, and you're not hearing about something. Maybe you're expecting something about finances, because Pentacles also often has to do with finances or stability, life stability, and like I said, an earth sign possibly. What is coming towards you beyond your control? Someone is disappointed in the outside. Maybe that's why they're keeping themselves under wraps. Maybe that's why they're not communicating. We'll find out more. I'll start clarifying soon, and when I do, it will change up the story a lot. It usually does. Your hopes and fears, Queen of Swords. Maybe this is you. You know, Queen of Swords can be a Gemini type air, you know, energy, but it also could be someone with sharp words. Maybe you're afraid of sharp words, or maybe you're afraid of chaotic situations within yourself. In the end, you do get a message, okay? The messages come. You will hear about this possibly earth sign, or a message of stability. So it's like something's just not coming through and you don't know what's going on, and we'll figure out what it is. So the Moon in the upright, Knight of Pentacles crossing it while you're there for Gemini as the subject at hand. Yeah, you're trying to see clearly what's going on. You're even opening yourself up a little bit more to other people and situations, but you know, something's still not coming in. It's like you're saying, I'm here, contact me, with the Two of Swords in reverse. I'm open to your suggestions. I'm open to communications in some way. So, the Moon, Knight of Pentacles, Two of Swords, why you there is the subject at hand. What's going on? And you're hard at work at something. You're really working hard towards something. Or they could be working hard towards something, and maybe that's why you're not hearing about something. Maybe some of you are thinking somebody's up to something because they're busy, or it could be vice versa. Someone thinks you're up to something because you're busy, but you're really working. You're not, the way I see it with these Geminis, they're working, or they're telling them they're working. Or the other person is saying, I'm working hard, with the Eight of Pentacles. Now, your goal or what crowns you, and I'm thinking of what crowns you, is that maybe messages are off. It could have to do with travel. But let me see. Eight of Wands in reverse for Gemini. Why are you there? What crowns them? Why are you there? Yeah, and you're kind of obsessing over a communication situation that may or may not be happening. You're feeling chained to it. You're waiting for it, or someone's waiting for it from you. So Eight of Wands in reverse, the Devil in the upright. Why are you there? Of what crowns Gemini. Wheel of Fortune. You're thinking, man, I just get nothing but bad luck. Every time I try to do something, because that's a Wheel of Fortune in reverse, it just goes, you know, to hell in a handbasket. And you're kind of waiting for this, and in a way it's kind of getting in your way of doing other things that you need to be doing. Now, the foundation, because you're waiting on things and you're trying to figure things out, there's no growth going on in your life. So it's like a warning from the universe that don't stay into your, waiting too long for something that's not moving quick enough, because everything's going to be put to a standstill if you do. Now, you got the Empress in reverse. No growth, no blessings you feel. You feel like nothing is moving in a situation you're wanting. So the Empress in reverse, while you're there, is a foundation for Gemini. Yeah, someone dropped the ball on something, or you did. Someone dropped the ball on you, or you dropped the ball on them. You were supposed to keep busy. Maybe you were supposed to do something with them, or they with you, and they just didn't pick up the slack. They didn't come through for some reason. And it could be for a lot of reasons. Maybe working. Maybe it is deceptions. I don't know yet. We got to find out. Now the Empress in reverse, Two of Pentacles in reverse as the foundation. Why are you there for Gemini? That's you, Queen of Swords, trying to think logically what you can do next, trying to figure things out, but at the same time, it's like you're letting things go because you're waiting on that message or something, or somebody, like I said, somebody's waiting it from you, and you may have dropped something. You may have been busy. You may, like I said, been working. A lot of you have been busy. A lot of frustrations there, I see, but, it's still ongoing, and it's going to get better. In the past, you were going for wish fulfillment with the Nine of Cups, and maybe you had wish fulfillment, whatever you were going for. Maybe you got a job, maybe things got busy for you, or, this could be like vice versa. Someone that you're involved with had wish fulfillment. So Nine of Cups in the upright, why you there for Gemini in the past. The Hierophant. Could be something with a contract that maybe went amok, you thought you weren't going to get, or something that you were going for that you wanted wish fulfillment with, that maybe something that fell through in the past, like I said, jobs, contracts, relationships, that you were going for wish fulfillment. You were wanting this in your life, even though something fell through. Maybe you're still waiting for it. Maybe you're waiting for a message from whatever you were going into. But the Nine of Cups in the upright, the Hierophant in reverse, while you're there, in the past for Gemini. Yeah, you're trying to overcome failure. Some of you may try to manifest something that failed in the past and wanted to move forward again. Excuse me. But like I said, things aren't clear right now, and you're not getting messages, and you're thinking, well, maybe it's not going to happen. Maybe I'm not going to get it. But in the very near future, you got the High Priestess, and I told you what that was all about. Could be intuition. Sometimes it's secrets. Sometimes it's something not gelled yet, or has not completed in what you were trying to aim for. Is still in the process of making or going forward. But we got to find out. So the High Priestess in the upright in the very near future for Gemini. Why are you there? The moon, yeah, something becomes clear, okay? You're going to find out more information. I don't think it's going to be held back from you in the very near future. You're going to discover what something is or what happened with communications, work, or contract relationships. It don't matter. So the High Priestess in the upright, the moon in reverse while you're there, in the very near future for Gemini. For some of you, you could have discovered something. Yeah, you could have discovered something about this contract or whatever you were into, and your intuition's going to be right. You're going to figure something out. You're going to say, aha, it's right, because with the moon in reverse, something is revealed. And with the 4 cups there in reverse, you may turn down an offer. You know, you may turn down something because you find out something, or you may find out that someone may have considered turning down something with you because they had found something out. So we got to figure out what is going on. I think communications may clear up on this. I'm thinking with that moon, a lot of times it's like really is about miscommunications, and so is that 8 of Wands. So someone could have misunderstood something, and that's why maybe you haven't heard from them, or a person situation, or they haven't heard from you because of miscommunications in some way. I do see someone disappointed on the outside with no control, so it could be that they think that you're keeping something from them, okay? Now, possible future outcome and advice from the universe, or advice from the universe, is the Hermit in the upright. You could be keeping to yourself, really thinking about things, really going within, trying to get something done, or like I said, figure something out. So the Hermit in the upright, why are you there? Why are you there? Disappointment. Yeah, it says think about things, because someone is really disappointed. The universe is like saying you're going so within, they don't know what's going on. So maybe you need to open those communications so someone can come out of disappointment. I think it's a really big misunderstanding. And like I said, it got to do with job, home, you know, like family and, you know, friends and anything like that. It'll be different for everybody. But I see someone is really misunderstanding the situation, and all they're thinking is Gemini up to no good? Is Gemini not wanting to talk to me anymore? Is Gemini finding somebody else? Is Gemini just not liking me anymore? Maybe Gemini is feeling this way also. But the Hermit in the upright, the 5 of Cups in reverse, as a possible future outcome and advice from the universe, why are you there? The King of Wands, it could have to do with a fire sign, someone who's going to be a little short-tempered at the same time possibly, or not feeling well, or just real busy. It could be Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, but not necessarily. Like I said, just somebody who's a little out of sorts, and they could be the one disappointed. Now, the outside source here is the 5 of Cups. It's beyond your control. Someone's really disappointed. They're looking at the negatives and not the positives. That's what's attached to this card. So the 5 of Cups in the upright is the outside environment. Why are you there? For Gemini. And they're carrying a heavy burden. I'm thinking they're thinking that you moved on, or doing something that you don't want them around anymore. They're thinking... They're overthinking, possibly. Maybe some of you have done this, you know, moved on to something else and working on something else. But I see someone also heavily at work. So finally something comes out, and maybe you get irritated with this person, or they get irritated with you, or they got a misunderstanding, and they say, well, I don't want to talk to you no more because you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, you know. Now the 5 of Cups in the upright, 10 of Wands in the upright, while you're there, is the outside environment for Gemini. Yeah, someone's thinking someone's being sneaky and doing stuff under the radar that they're not supposed to do with the 7 of Swords in the upright. I'm seeing for a lot of you a big misunderstanding, but maybe not. Now, the hopes and fears in a situation is the Queen of Swords. The Queen of Swords is in reverse, and that means someone could really spout off. Maybe they get irritated and say, now, listen here, you know. And it comes across kind of wrong, or kind of, you know, abrupt and harsh in some ways. But the Queen of Swords, sometimes, you know, I'm thinking you don't want to go this route. Maybe you do want to go this route. But it also could be the people around you also fear this, that you may, you know, use sharp words. So the Queen of Swords in reverse, while you're there, as a possible, or the hopes and fears for Gemini while you're there. And someone's feeling trapped and bound and they can't see clearly. They don't know how they're going to get out of a situation. So the Queen of Swords in reverse, Eight of Swords in the upright while you're there for Gemini. But someone does get their message across. They say, I must do it. I must talk to somebody. I must get my message out there. Again, this could be Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, but I'm thinking it's you, It could be another air sign. But I'm also like pages or messages. And this one comes with a sword. In other words, it's straight to the point. You just got to be careful, and you may just want to be careful of, it coming across wrong. But if you do say something to somebody, it's because you're feeling trapped and bound by a situation, and you must explain it or get your point across. Now, in the very end is the Page of Pentacles. This could be, again, a message of stability, a message of finances. It could be a younger type Capricorn, Taurus, or Virgo, or just someone young at heart that's kind of, in a way, mature for their age. But we shall see. We shall see, because I gotta get another card. Page of Pentacles in the upright as the final outcome while you're there for Gemini. Yeah, someone's going to send you a message, and it's going to sound a little aggressive with the Five of Swords. They're going to say, guess what? If you don't fly straight, or if you don't do this, or if you don't do that, I'm going to do this with the Five of Swords. So maybe that's why you're afraid of the Queen of Swords in reverse, that you may react in a certain way. The universe is saying stop to think about it, because this person is just disappointed and messages possibly got wrong earlier. So the Page of Pentacles in the upright, the Five of Swords in the upright is the final outcome for Gemini while you're there. Yeah, the Empress, and someone's feeling like there's no growth and blessings, and they may, I'm seeing just really sharp words, short tempers, misunderstandings. I do not see like an ending to a relationship or a job or anything. I'm just seeing that wires are getting crossed somewhere. And the universe is saying step back in a way and think about it, maybe, because the Hermit is in the upright, because someone is disappointed and irritated and just feeling things wrong. They're thinking you're doing something sneaky. They got this burden. They're disappointed. For some of you, maybe you are doing this. But for a lot of you, I do think it's a miscommunication, and someone's letting their imagination go in some ways. Or like I said, you could be doing this to somebody, or you could be feeling this towards somebody because it does flip these messages where you may be thinking they're doing this to you. But I'm just seeing it as a blip. It's nothing that cannot be fixed easily. If you really realize that, because you're watching this reading, a miscommunication, someone could be thinking, all over the place, oh no, that's what they're doing, they're not really working, kind of situation, and vice versa. But in the end, there is hope. You have hope with the Star card. It's a good card. It's a great card. So hope is still there. Don't give up hope. Things, get better, and you do grow from this. You learn from this with each other. Hope is always there, and you do move on from troubled waters, okay? With the Six of Swords, you move on from this situation. Like I said, I don't see anybody really losing a job. I don't see relationships going amok just yet. I didn't get the Death card. I do get, like in the past, that maybe you were trying to, some of you, go back and try to fix something with a contract or relationship that didn't work before, and trying to overcome failure. And maybe you do, overcome this failure. But I do see that arguments do occur. Someone spouts off, and you may spout off too, and saying, I told you I was working, or they may say that to you. And then you may, clear the air, and then hope comes back, and you move on from this troubled situation, and you go out and you make up, possibly. And I will let you know what, maybe it'll take off from here, and we'll get more information, or we'll get a whole new energy. And I'll talk to you later, Gemini.